My beloved soul, pause for a moment. Before the noise of the day reaches you, before another distraction pulls you in another direction, I need you to hear something. And I need you to hear it now. Not later. Not when you feel ready, because the truth is, you have been ready for longer than you realize. Something is shifting, not slowly, not quietly. Something enormous is moving in the spiritual atmosphere around your life. And the reason you are here, watching this, in this exact moment, is not coincidence. It never was. There is a feeling you carry. You know the one. It lives somewhere between your chest and your throat. It is not quite sadness, and it is not quite hope. It is something in between. A quiet waiting. A knowing that something unfinished still has a chapter left to be written. And no matter how many times you tried to close the book, no matter how many times you told yourself it was time to move on, that feeling remained. Steady, patient, unmovable. That is not weakness. That is not you being stuck. That is a divine signature on your soul that no human hand can erase. And today, right now, in this very moment, I want to speak directly into that place inside you. I want to address what has been waiting to be addressed. Because what you are about to hear is not just a message. It is a word that has been prepared specifically for this season of your life. If this message is already touching something deep inside you, if something stirred the moment I began speaking, then leave a comment below. Tell me you are here. Tell me you received this. Even just write the word that describes exactly what you are feeling right now. Your presence in this space matters more than you know. Like this video if you believe your love story is still being written. And subscribe and turn on your notifications so that when the next message comes through, you do not miss it. Because these messages are not random. They are sent, and they are sent for people exactly like you. If this ministry has ever brought you comfort on a night when you felt completely alone, if these words have ever landed at the exact moment you needed them, I want you to know that this work is sustained by the generosity of people just like you. There is a link in the description below and pinned in the first comment where you can support this channel through Ko-fi, whether it is buying a single coffee or returning each month. Every contribution carries weight far beyond its dollar amount. Because when you pour into something that pours into others, you create a channel. You become part of a chain of healing that reaches people in cities and countries you will never visit, in languages you may never speak. Your gift does not just fund a video. It carries a word to someone on the other side of the world who is sitting in the dark, exactly where you once sat. If you feel moved, check that link, and know that whatever you give, it is received with deep gratitude and returned to you in ways you cannot yet see. Now, let us go deeper. There were nights, were there not, when the silence felt heavier than anything you had ever carried. Nights when the absence of one person made the whole world feel slightly wrong, slightly off-center, like a painting that has been tilted just enough that you cannot stop noticing it. You lay awake, and your mind went places you had told it not to go. You thought of conversations that ended too soon. You replayed moments that felt so right and then shattered in your hands. You asked yourself over and over again whether what you felt was real or whether you had imagined the whole thing. And then morning would come, and you would get up, and you would move through your day, and you would do everything you were supposed to do. But that feeling never fully left. It sat with you at the dinner table. It walked beside you on your way to work. It was there in the quiet moments between tasks, in the second before sleep pulled you under. In the first breath of every new morning, you told yourself to stop. You tried reasoning with your heart. You attempted every distraction available to you. And still, through all of it, that connection persisted. That name, that face, that unfinished feeling that refused to be filed away under things that are over. I want to tell you something that I need you to receive completely. Not just intellectually, but in the deepest part of who you are. What you felt was not delusion. What you experienced was not projection. And what you still carry is not a symptom of being unable to heal. It is a symptom of something far more significant. It is the mark of a divine connection that God Himself placed within you. And the reason it could not be reasoned away, the reason no distraction fully erased it, is because it was never meant to be erased. It was meant to be fulfilled. The delay you have been walking through was not a sign that you were wrong. It was not confirmation that love had passed you by. Do not let anyone or anything convince you that what you felt was nothing. Because here is what was actually happening while you were waiting, while you were healing, while you were wondering if any of it meant something. God was building, not just in you, but in the one who is connected to you. He was working on two people at the same time, in two different places, through two different sets of wounds, preparing them for a meeting that could only succeed if they both arrived ready. And readiness takes time. Real readiness. Not the kind that looks ready from the outside, but trembles on the inside. Not the kind that says the right words, but cannot sustain real love when things become difficult. God was not building performance. He was building foundation, and foundations take longer than walls, but they also hold longer than anything else. Stay with me, because what I am about to tell you about where they are right now, this is the part that is going to shift something in you. They have been in a war with themselves. Not the loud kind of war, the quiet kind. The kind that happens behind closed eyes at 2 in the morning, when there is no one to perform for and no distraction strong enough to fill the space. They would catch themselves thinking of you at the most unexpected moments. In the middle of a conversation with someone else, while listening to a song they had never connected to you before but suddenly could not unhear, while sitting in traffic staring at nothing, only to realize they had been thinking about you for the last 10 minutes without even choosing to. They tried to reframe it. They told themselves it was nostalgia. They told themselves they were romanticizing something that did not deserve to be romanticized. They tried to build walls with logic and kept finding that when they returned to check on those walls, they had crumbled. Because love, that is written by God, does not obey the architecture of human denial. It cannot be contained by reasoning. It cannot be deconstructed by pride. It rises, no matter how many times it is pushed down. It rises. Do not scroll away, because the truth about what they are feeling right now is the very thing your heart has been waiting to hear. They feel regret. And I want to address this carefully, because regret is not always a gentle thing. The weight of it can be immense. They are sitting in the awareness of what their fear, their immaturity, their unhealed wounds cost them. They are replaying decisions they wish they had made differently. They are seeing, with a clarity they did not possess before, the value of what they held and let slip through their hands. And that regret is not destroying them. It is transforming them, because there is a kind of regret that breaks a person down and a kind that breaks a person open. And what is happening in them right now is the second kind. The kind that creates humility where there was arrogance. The kind that creates tenderness where there was distance. The kind that makes someone finally willing to be vulnerable in a way they never permitted themselves to be before. This transformation is why the timing had to be what it was. If they had come back earlier, before this breaking, they would have come back the same. And the same would not have been enough. God was not withholding love from you. He was withholding an incomplete version of love from you in order to deliver something whole. Stay here, there is more. while they were being transformed in the fire of their own regret, something was also happening in you, something quieter. Something that perhaps you did not even fully notice while it was happening, because growth rarely announces itself. But look back. Look at who you were when this connection first became something real to you. Look at how you responded to uncertainty then. Look at how you handled silence, how you navigated fear, how you measured your own worth. And then, look at who you are now. You have developed a stillness you did not have before. You have learned to hold your own peace on the days when everything outside of you is restless. You have discovered that your identity is not located in another person and does not collapse when that person is not present. And this growth, this quiet, invisible, deeply earned growth, is not separate from your love story. It is part of it. It is the version of you that this connection needed to reach before it could be received properly. The love that is coming toward you now will land differently than it would have before, because you are different, not hardened, not guarded, deeper. You have the capacity now to hold something real without losing yourself in it, to give fully without giving yourself away, to love with your whole heart while remaining entirely intact. That is everything. Do not leave yet, because there is a turning point happening right now that I do not want you to miss. There are signs appearing in their life, moments of disruption in the life they built without you, moments where the alternatives that once seemed appealing suddenly feel hollow and thin. Connections they tried to replace you with that keep revealing themselves to be surfaces where yours was depth. Achievements that feel somehow incomplete because there is no one to share them with who truly understands. They are discovering what you already discovered months ago, that there is no substitute for something divinely appointed, that replacement is an illusion, that filling space is not the same as filling the void. And in the middle of this discovery, something has shifted in their posture toward reaching out. Where before there was hesitation, there is now a longing. Where before there was pride, there is now a willingness. Where before there was the fear that reaching out might make them look weak, there is now the understanding that staying silent is the actual cost. They are moving, not running, not dramatically, but moving. One foot, then the next, drawn by something they cannot name, guided by something larger than their own will. There is a verse I want to place in this moment. He has made everything beautiful in its time. That is from the book of Ecclesiastes, and I want you to hear what it is actually saying. Not eventually beautiful. Not beautiful once you stop caring about it. Beautiful in its time. There is a time appointed for this. And time is not running out on you. Time is running toward you. The season is not closing. It is opening. I want you to pause right here, breathe. This is the moment in the video where I want everything that has been said to land. Not just in your mind, in your body, in your chest. Let yourself actually feel what it means that the person connected to you by something divine is being moved in your direction. Let yourself feel what it means that your waiting was not wasted. Let yourself feel what it means that everything you went through, every night, every question, every moment you almost gave up, had a purpose that you can now begin to see from the other side. This is the pivot. This is where your story turns. Not someday. Not in some hypothetical future. Now in this season, under your feet. Before we go deeper into what comes next, if this message is already resonating in your spirit, if you feel something opening inside you right now, your support means everything to the continuation of this work. There is a link in the description below and pinned in the comments where you can visit my Ko-Fi page. You can offer a single coffee as a thank you, or if this channel has become a consistent source of strength for you, you can become a monthly supporter. a small act that carries enormous spiritual weight. When you pour into something that pours into you, you create reciprocity. You tell the universe, I invest in what is life-giving. And that posture of generosity changes not just this ministry but the energy field of your own life. Check that link whenever you feel moved to. And thank you. Whatever you give comes back to you multiplied. Now, let us talk about what is coming, because this is not just about reunion. This is about alignment. What you are stepping into is not a return to what was. I want to make that absolutely clear because too many people receive love back and expect to walk the old road. That road is gone. The bridge back to who you both were before does not exist. And that is not a tragedy. That is the gift, because the version of this connection that is approaching you now is built on completely different ground. Ground that was prepared through everything you each went through. Ground that can hold weight. Ground that does not shift when things get hard. They are coming back with something they could not offer before. Clarity, the kind that does not waver when it is tested. The kind that says, I know what I want and I no longer require perfect conditions before I am willing to say so. They have stopped waiting for certainty before choosing, because they now understand what you understand, that love is not a guarantee offered before the risk. It is a choice made in spite of the risk, and they are preparing to make that choice. When they reach out, when that moment comes, and it is coming, I want you to notice something in yourself. Notice that you do not feel desperate. Notice that you do not feel the need to immediately fill every silence with reassurance, to immediately prove you have been fine, to immediately construct the version of yourself that seems most appealing. Notice that you can simply be present, grounded, open. That is what growth looks like from the inside. That is the stillness you built during the waiting. Now doing exactly what it was built to do. You will also notice something in how they show up. Something different in the quality of their attention. They will listen in a way they did not before. They will ask questions they would have avoided before. They will hold space for your emotions in a way that once would have made them uncomfortable. Not because they became a different person, but because they grew into the fullness of who they were always capable of being. And you will feel that difference immediately. Not as relief, not as triumph, but as recognition. A quiet knowing that says, yes, this is the version I was waiting for. Stay with me, because I want to speak into what happens inside you in that moment. You will have a choice. Not a loud choice with clear options laid out in front of you. A quiet one, the kind that happens in the space of a breath. The choice between opening and protecting, between trusting and controlling, between receiving what is offered and holding back, because the last time you opened fully it cost you something. And I want to speak to that fear now before it has the chance to whisper in that moment. The fear says, what if this time is the same? What if the pattern repeats? What if you open and get hurt again? And the fear is not irrational. It has a history. It was formed by something real. But the fear is also operating on old information. It does not know what they went through. It does not know how both of you have changed. The fear is trying to protect a version of you that no longer needs protecting in the same way, because that version is no longer as fragile as it once was. You are stronger now, and your strength is not armor. It is discernment. The ability to see clearly rather than desperately. The capacity to choose love without abandoning yourself in the process. So when that moment comes and the fear rises, acknowledge it, hear it, and then gently set it aside. What is standing at the door of your love story is not a threat. It is an answer. Do not scroll away. The most important part of this message is unfolding right now. There is something I want to say about the spiritual weight of what you have been carrying. Waiting, when held in faith rather than despair, is one of the most active spiritual postures a human being can inhabit. It requires ongoing trust in something you cannot see. It requires choosing to believe, on the hard days, that there is still a story being written even when you cannot read the current page. It requires resisting the shortcuts and substitutes that present themselves as solutions, but are actually distractions from the real thing. You did that. Through however many days and months, this has been your reality. You did that. And I want you to hear this clearly, that faithfulness did not go unnoticed. Not by the universe, not by God. Every day you held on when letting go would have been easier. Every day you chose hope when despair was more available, that was recorded. That has weight. And weight like that does not disappear into nothing. It becomes the soil from which something extraordinary grows. What is growing in your life right now is extraordinary. Even if you cannot yet see the full shape of it, even if the shoots are still underground, and all you can feel is the movement beneath the surface. Trust that movement. Trust the invisible work happening in places you cannot observe. Because the same God who built patience in you also built readiness in them. And the same divine timing that allowed the separation is now initiating the convergence. What God initiates, no human fear can permanently halt. There is something else happening right now that I want you to be aware of. The energy around this connection is clearing. If you have ever walked outside after a storm and noticed how the air is different, how everything smells cleaner, how the light is slightly more vivid, that is the best description I have for what is happening in the spiritual atmosphere around your love story right now. The heaviness is lifting, the confusion is resolving. The fog that surrounded this connection for so long is thinning, and through it, the path is becoming visible. They can feel it too, even if they have no language for it. They feel a pull they cannot explain, a clarity they did not invite, a sense of urgency that has attached itself to thoughts of you, and they are leaning into it now in a way they were not before. Something in them has finally become more afraid of losing you permanently than of being vulnerable. This specific shift is the one that changes everything. Do not leave yet, because I want to prepare you for what is ahead. The reconnection, when it comes, will not feel like a thunderclap. I know that might not be what you expected to hear. You might have imagined a dramatic moment, a sweeping gesture, a declaration that dissolves all the distance at once. But what is actually coming is more valuable than drama. It is going to feel like coming home, like a conversation that was interrupted being resumed exactly where it left off, but with both speakers, slightly wiser, slightly more willing to say what they mean. It is going to feel natural, and the naturalness of it will be the confirmation, because real love does not feel like fireworks every moment. Real love feels like safety, like recognition, like breathing without effort. And in that ease, you are going to realize something profound. The waiting was protection. Protection from a version of this connection that would have broken under its own weight, because neither of you were yet strong enough to hold it. God held it in trust until the right moment. And that moment is now approaching. There is a scripture I want to close this message with. From the book of Mark, chapter 10, verse 9. What God has joined together, let no one separate. I want to stretch that beyond its traditional context for a moment. This is not only about marriage in the formal sense. This is about any connection that God has authored, any bond that carries a divine signature, any love story that began not in coincidence but in design. Those connections do not simply end, they complete, and the completion may travel through roads that seem to lead away from the destination. But the destination remains, and the road always turns back toward it. Your love story has not ended. It has been in preparation, and the preparation is reaching its completion. My beloved soul, I want to speak to you now directly, not as a voice delivering spiritual information, but as someone who wants you to actually feel this. Feel the weight of what it means that you are not alone in this. Feel what it means that the universe, that God, has not forgotten the deepest longing of your heart. Feel what it means that the very ache you have carried for so long was never a sign of your lack. It was a sign of your depth, of the capacity for love that lives inside you, of the fact that you were designed for something real, something lasting, something that did not settle for the surface. That is who you are, a person built for depth, and the love that is coming toward you is built to match that depth. So when the silence breaks, receive it fully. When the words come, let them land rather than filtering them through fear. When they step forward, do not step back out of old habit. Step forward to meet them, because this reunion is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of the story you were actually meant to live. The one you could not have written for yourself, because it required more of both of you than either of you possessed alone. You are standing at a threshold, and thresholds are meant to be crossed. Before I close this message, I want to leave you with one practical invitation. In the comments below, leave me the one word that describes what you felt most deeply while watching this. Not a paragraph, just one word. Your word is not just for me. It is for every other person who watches this video and scrolls through the comments and sees your word and feels less alone because someone else named the exact thing they could not name. Your word matters, leave it. And if you are not yet subscribed, do that now. Turn on your notifications, because the messages that follow this one are already being prepared, and they are going to carry you further into the clarity that has already begun to open in your life. You do not want to miss what is coming next. Not in this channel, and not in your love story. My beloved soul, I want to leave you with this. The delay was not the story. The waiting was not the story. The nights you cried and questioned and almost surrendered were not the story. They were the preparation, every single one of them. And now the story is beginning. The real one, the one that was worth every day of preparation because it was built not on desperation or timing or accident, but on a divine appointment that no human decision could ultimately cancel. Your soulmate is no longer at a crossroads. They have chosen the road that leads to you. They are moving. And with every step they take toward you, the spiritual atmosphere shifts a little more. The clarity brightens a little more. The path between you shortens a little more. And you, standing where you are right now, stronger than you were, deeper than you were, more fully yourself than you have ever been. You are exactly where you need to be. Not waiting anymore. Receiving. Because there is a difference between waiting in emptiness and standing in readiness. You have crossed from one into the other. And that readiness is not just about them. It is about you finally trusting that you deserve what you have been praying for. You do. You have always deserved it, and it is already on its way. Rest in that, not in anxiety, not in urgency, in deep, settled, unshakable faith that what God has authored, God will complete. Your story is not over. It is just beginning its most beautiful chapter. I love you, my beloved soul. Stay rooted, stay open, stay ready. It is already in motion.